Hello everyone, it is Briximus Prime, back for another Transformers Studio Series review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series 86 Dinobot Trio, at least the ones that we have as of right now. So anyway, let's just get right on into the review by starting with the packaging, and then we'll go through each of them in order of when they came out. And since I don't have the packaging for the other two, I'm just going to take a look here at Sludge's. Sludge has this really nice artwork on the very front, says Studio Series Movie, and Dinobots Sludge, Hasbro, 86 number 15. Transformers, Generations, Takara Tomitami, Transformers Movie, here on the side. Some more artwork right there. Authentic Transformers! Here on the back of the packaging, we got some nice product shots and imagery, and then here on the side it says Studio Series 86, and it says he's a leader class. And that is mostly it for the packaging. And as you can see, here is the cardboard backdrop, and this is the same one that was included with all three of the Dinobots. And just quickly going over the accessories that come with the Dinobots, Grimlock comes with his classic blaster, looks just like what he had in the animation and the original toy, and it is compatible with blast effects. And then right here, the Slug comes with this very nice little silver blaster here, and it's, not too... It's just pretty generic looking. And then finally, here is Sludge's, who comes with this huge, giant barreled gun. And I like that accent of gold. That really makes it stand out a little bit more. Grimlock came with his little wheelie companion, and yeah, this little wheelie here is all painted up and everything. It looks pretty fine. It's not really as articulated, doesn't transform, which we're supposed to get a actually proper 86 wheelie later. But I wanted to briefly go over the articulation on this. The head can swivel, shoulders can rotate, and then it has this little bicep butterfly joint. Shoulder can rotate a full 360, can move up and down. Little waist swivel, and then ball joints at the hips, and that's really about it. So this thing is basically obsolete.
Trash!
And also, Slag also came with this little minifigure of Daniel Witwicky, but we're not even going to bother talking about that little shit. All the Dinobots have areas on them where you can go in and store their accessories on them. Everything about this Grimlock is perfectly faithful to that original toy and cartoon model, and the head sculpt is no exception to this. I especially love that metallic blue paint they have in the visor that really makes it stand out a whole lot. Really love how there's like no expression here, but it gives it such personality to the whole figure. And then coming down to the chest here, love that bright gold that really pops out. The only thing I wish that they did was they maybe changed out this smoky clear plastic for more of a, actually see-through, because you can't really see that Autobot logo underneath the plastic there all that well, but whatever. And then he does have tons of nice mechanical detailing and panel lining going all throughout, which, even though he's a Studio Series figure, it's on par with, like, Siege. The red there, you got some more gold right there on the claws, the fists look great, the black right there, and then he's got those nice bright stripes that really give out that extra bit of color that the figure really needs. And then coming across to the back, he has some very accurate looking kibble to the rest of, this is really accurate looking dino kibble, even though there basically is just a dino head on the back with little arms and little wings right here. But again, this is all accurate. And also, again, there's like no hollowness to the figure either. The only hollowness is right here in his arms, and yet that's not even that big of a complaint. Like, it's really cool how solid and chunky they made this figure, and also how detailed and everything they made him. Like, this really is the most accurate Grimlock I think we're ever going to get in the main line. Quickly going over his articulation, he has a ball joint at the head, which allows him to swivel and look up and down. He also has a hinge joint at the base, which allows him to do that, but we don't really mention that. The wings can flap forward and backward, and they can hinge up and down. Shoulders can rotate a full 360. They can hinge in and out. Bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, which bends over 90 degrees. Wrists do rotate. He does also have a waist swivel. Hips can kick forward. They can kick back that far, they can move outward that far. He does have a thigh swivel, nice bend at the knee, and then he does get some ankle pivot with some nice molded detail just to make it look more seamless. And here is taking a look at Dinobot Slug, or Slag as I'm going to call him, and he's got some nice metallic blue in the eyes, just like Grimlock, and they really pop at you. The head sculpt and everything looks very accurate. He even has that Triceratops head, like, hood thing going on. And coming down to the chest, he has the nice Autobot logo right there, and everything is all molded, sculpted with all that mechanical panel lining and everything. And this nice bright red does a great job at making this figure stand out a whole lot. And obviously, you know, there is quite a lot of it here. There's his fists, and then he's got that little bit of color separation even in the knees, kind of like Grimlock. He's got the gold feet. And again, molding and sculpting is really good. And then he has quite a bit more kibble than Grimlock does, I will say that. And my biggest issue is that a lot of this doesn't really snap in or plug in at all. Kind of reminds me of the previous dinosaur-related Transformers that I took a look at. But unlike those guys, he actually can hold some poses without falling apart. His head can rotate from side to side, and this is one of my biggest complaints with the figure, is this joint kind of gets in the way of head posability, especially if you're trying to go in there, especially how this panel doesn't snap in or anything, and especially gets annoying when you're trying to pose it, but it's not too big of an issue. I mean, I've had worse. Shoulders can rotate a full 360, they can move in and out. Biceps swivel, double bend at the elbow, and then the wrists do swivel. That's for transformation. He does have a waist swivel, hips can kick forward, hips can kick back, hips can move outward. He does get a thigh swivel, double bend at the knee, which is pretty good. The only problem is these knees kind of get a little problematic on this lower joint, and so he tends to flop over all the time. And then he also gets some good ankle pivot as well. And now we're back to the present with the most recent Dinobot that has been released, the Dinobot Sludge. Head sculpt here looks pretty accurate. I just wish he had maybe a little bit more expressiveness in his face, but I still appreciate the silver paint and the blue eyes, just like the previous releases. Down there, he's got a nice Autobot logo with a silver backing. The mechanical sculpting kind of gets lost a little bit in the red plastic, but it still looks pretty good nonetheless. And then coming down to the legs, looks pretty good as well. The shoulders here are really nice. I appreciate, again, a lot of the mechanical sculpting and detail that goes into these figures, and I feel like it really goes underappreciated because there really is a lot of detail. Like, I cannot emphasize enough. Nice bits of gold there on the feet, always appreciated. Again, everything with the molding and sculpting is just always spot on. The Studio Series and the Siege and the main line always do a great job at it. And then just like the other figures, he does have quite a bit of kibble, but obviously this is accurate to the Dinobots in general. So anyway, let's just go over his articulation. His head is on a swivel, and it's also on one of those hinge joints, only it's actually, you know, benefiting the figure. And then the shoulders can rotate a full 360, though the wing bits do kind of get in the way. Shoulders can move in and out. He does have a tight bicep swivel, double bend at the elbow that bends over 90 degrees. He does have a wrist swivel, waist swivel, hips can kick forward, they can move back that far, they can move outward that far. He does have a thigh swivel, bend at the knee, and then an ankle pivot. So basically everything that this guy has is on par with the other figures, only except Slug is the only one that seems, or Slag is the only one that seems less solid. This guy is more on par with Grimlock. One of the things I really appreciate about this set of figures is how they really managed to get the sizing right with just how big these guys really are, especially with how leader class figures are getting constantly downsized nowadays. And especially when you see them compared with the last two deluxe class dinosaur related figures that I reviewed. Be sure to check out that review if you missed out on it. Please check it out. And then here they are with the last Studio Series figure I reviewed, the Studio Series Galvatron. So anyway, that's it for comparisons. Now let's get into each of these guys' transformations. Now starting off by taking a look at Grimlock. Grimlock's head sculpt here for the T-Rex looks really good. I love the gold paint going across the neck, the blue eyes. Again, all those rivets and mechanical detailing looks good. The only problem with this head sculpt is he is missing those front teeth, and it does make him look a little weird from a front perspective. But hey, at least he also, all the Dinobots do feature a little peg in the mouth, so you can put some blast effects in there. And then Grimlock, obviously going down the body, he's got these big ol' arms that are not scientifically accurate, but who really cares at this point? And then he's got that Autobot logo, which comes together with the two panels. I really like that. The red stripe going across his belly looks good as well. And then his chest ends up becoming the crotch, but it actually isn't really that noticeable. It probably would be that more noticeable if the Autobot, you could see the Autobot logo, and so now I can kind of see why they chose the smoky plastic, but whatever. Again, also in the dinosaur mode, all the mechanical detailing becomes even more apparent and is kind of put on display here, and so it always looks really good, especially with all the different colors. And then there is his huge tail right there. Going over T-Rex posability, the head can look down that far, it can look up that far, and then it can swivel from side to side. You can untab this, but that's for transformation, obviously. Jaw is articulated. There's little ball joints here at the shoulders, which allows them to rotate all over the place, and there's a bend at the elbow. These are the same as the arm posability, only except it is now in T-Rex mode, and then obviously he also still gets knees, and then these little toe bits can move as well, and then there's nothing at the tail. But still, really good stuff with Grimlock. And then there's a feature here where you can have Wheelie ride on Grimlock's back. Obviously, this Wheelie doesn't really matter anymore, so I hope that that new Core Class 1 will have this same feature. Here is taking a look at Slug, Slag, and here he is in his Triceratops mode. The Triceratops head sculpt looks very good. This is actually my preferred mode out of the two, the robot mode and dinosaur mode. Love the gold face, the Autobot logo right front and center there. The blue eyes are nice and piercing. I love the nose horn, and then he's got the two horns right here, and for some reason these horns are removable, but I don't see what the point is to that whole feature. The crest looks really good with all that riveting detail. Kind of looks like solar panels a little bit. And then again, the mechanical detailing is put on display here in the dinosaur mode. And again, I really love the gold and just the colors really pop on this figure, especially here in this mode. I prefer Slag to be here in his Triceratops mode over his robot mode, especially considering how sizable it is. And again, he is pretty chunky, and the only other complaint I really have is that these feet are a little too weird and thin, but in order for them to fold into here, that's really how they had to do it. And honestly, not that much kibble going on with this guy. Going over his articulation, his mouth can hinge up and down. All the hips can hinge forward and has a swivel, bend at the elbow, and then this hinges back here, this bends, and then this bends, and then that's about it. Nothing at the tail. That's really it for him. And then here's taking a quick look at Sludge over here. Again, the dinosaur head sculpt looks really good, especially with the gold paint. And then he's got that little Autobot logo, the blue eyes. And hey, look, he actually has the front teeth, unlike Grimlock. But hey, I do appreciate that they went back in and they fixed that problem. And then he's got the nice mechanical detailing. This guy especially has it right on display, especially how he's got some nice silver and gold and like metallic colors going all over his dinosaur mode. And again, I really love how there's even some new details that are revealed that you wouldn't have been able to have seen in robot mode. Like, this guy definitely has one of the best dinosaur modes, and I really do like this guy quite a bit. I've had a lot of fun handling this guy for the past, week that I've had him. Going over the articulation, he has this weird-looking hinge joint right here at the base of the neck. His neck can swivel right there at the head. This part can hinge up and down, and then articulated jaw. His front feet can rotate forward and back. They have a little bit of a swivel, and then the feet can hinge up and down. His back legs can rotate a full 360. They can move in and out. Thigh swivel, and then the bend at the knee or whatever, and then that's really it for that. And then nothing at the tail as well. But again, really solid mode, and I really like how it all comes together. This part does tend to untab sometimes, but again, just snaps right back in. And then this guy does not have any kind of rider feature minifigure thing, so good riddance. And then for dino comparisons, here they are with those last fossilizer dinosaur figures that I reviewed. And now I am never going to touch these ever again. And I was totally not too lazy to transform Galvatron. And that is basically it for my review on the Studio Series 86 Dinobots. Now, if I had to give each one their own separate opinions, for Grimlock, he is probably the best out of all three of these figures. I really love how Grimlock turned out. He's really accurate in both modes. He feels solid. Nothing feels like it's loose or it's going to break. I literally have zero complaints with Grimlock. If I really was trying to reach for complaints, it'd be that he doesn't come with his own blast effects. I would have appreciated his own blast effects, but whatever. And then for Slag over here, he's an alright figure. It's just he's such a downgrade when compared to Grimlock, because he's the one that came after Grimlock, and it felt like Grimlock was a couple steps ahead, and then Slag felt like they took a couple steps back, especially with how his backpack wasn't really holding together all that well, and it makes the figure not feel very solid, especially with his loose knees, and he just doesn't feel like he was very well thought through. Either that, or I just happened to get a pretty shizzy copy that barely manages to hold together. But he does manage to snap and hold together in his dinosaur mode, and at least that makes up for his robot mode. And then finally we come to Sludge, and Sludge, I feel like if Grimlock was a couple steps forward and then Slag was a couple steps back, Sludge was definitely a couple steps forward back to Grimlock's standard. I really like how Sludge turned out with his articulation in both dinosaur mode and also his robot mode. I love how accurate he is. I like his molded, sculpted in detail. It's always something that I appreciate every time. And I just really had a lot of fun playing with this guy just as much as I did Grimlock. It's just because of my bias toward Grimlock over the other Dinobots, that's the only thing making me like Grimlock that little bit more than Sludge. But Sludge is on par with Grimlock. So if that didn't really make too much sense, Grimlock is a 10 out of 10, Sludge is a 9 out of 10, and then Slag over here is more of a 6 out of 10. Maybe closer to a 5. But that's basically it for this review. If you guys enjoyed the review, be sure to give me a like on the video. I hope you guys liked this kind of bigger, like, threesome review if you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to give me a like on the video, comment down what you guys think, subscribe to the channel for more Transformers and action figure videos, and I'll catch you guys next time.